What's good, everybody? Conversate with Us Radio presents the Man Listen Show. We are the blackest radio show on the internet. We bring you our opinion on topics that affect the Black community in an effort to enlighten, enrich, and empower every brother and sister that falls under the sound of our voice. We operate on a no-hating frequency, so be prepared for us to keep it 100% real and 100% Black all the time. Please follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listen Show. You can also subscribe to the show on iTunes and YouTube. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Go to our website, www.manlistenshow.com. You can listen to our current episodes and our past episodes right there. Make sure you share the show and you let everybody know about the blackest radio show on the internet, the Man Listen Show. I'm your host, Marv B. So, we often talk about local politics, right? And how that is more impactful than the presidential politics, the US government, whatever happens in DC. We are about empowering, enlightening, enriching the Black community. And oftentimes those topics deal with government. And there's no better way for you to make a difference than local politics and local government. So I wanted to bring on our guest today, Ms. Shanita Wilkerson Bryant. She is a local official in the state of Georgia. And I want her to talk about the office she holds, the importance of a person like her and the position that she holds, and then what she's going through now to try to be reelected so that she can continue to make a difference for her community. So Shanita, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Marvin. How are you?
I'm good. So tell the listeners about you. Tell them, where you're from, the position you hold, all of that.
Okay. Well, I am Shanita Wilkerson Bryant. I live in Fort Valley, Georgia, which is in Peach County. I sit on the Peach County Board of Commissioners. My district largely lies in Fort Valley and the unincorporated areas of Fort Valley. I'm the Post 2 Commissioner. This is my first term that I'm in now, and I'm seeking re-election so that I can be brought back for a second term.
And you from actual Georgia, right? Because most people who don't live in Georgia, they think of they think of Atlanta. You from the state of Georgia.
No, I'm from Georgia for real. Red dirt, red clay, red politics, red necks, all of that stuff. We're fighting all of it. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. So for everybody who's watching on YouTube, Shanita may be kind of glitching a little bit, but it's all good. We're gonna rock with it. We're not gonna let the pursuit of perfection get in the way of progress. But for those who listen to the audio podcast, it'll be all good. So yeah, you got this a little bit of a glitch in your signal, Shanita, but we're gonna keep rocking with it.
Speaking of that glitch, one of the things that I am proud of is that we've actually allocated $1 million from the ARP funds that the Joe Biden administration passed down to rural broadband. A lot of people, if you're in urban areas, you're not aware of the problems we have in the rural areas when it comes to broadband. We're allocating $750,000 to start a broadband project with Flint Energies here in Middle Georgia, and another $250,000 that we're giving to the city of Fort Valley to pursue their rural broadband initiatives as well.
Because that's important, and we saw that when the pandemic happened, when
exactly
everybody got shut down and everybody got sent home, and the more affluent school districts, right? They all the children got sent home with technology. So if you had 3 or 4 kids in the house, they were sent home with either 3 or 4 tablets or laptops. They didn't have to worry about how can I stay connected to get my education. But for those who were in the rural districts or the inner city districts where the funding wasn't there, they were having to, I got to do my homework on mama's phone or mama's iPad, and I got to share that with 2 or 3 other siblings. So when you talk about technology, that's one gap, but everything's on, the internet highway. And if you don't have high-speed internet, that's just putting another roadblock on our children in terms of getting their education. So I love that you said that, because that's how you're making a difference for the Black community.
You're absolutely right about that. One thing the pandemic did was it uncovered a lot of weaknesses in our infrastructure. And, usually when people think about infrastructure, they think about roads, bridges, highways, that type of thing. But because of the digital age that we live in now, high-speed broadband is absolutely infrastructure. You
Mhm.
need that. You mentioned it for children and everything, but it's also a vital part of economic development. Businesses don't want to come to a community where they can't keep in contact with their customers or, with their logistics, their supply chains, if they don't have high speed broadband. So it's very important to a lot of industries, including the medical industry, even telehealth and things like that. A lot of the machines and everything, they run on high speed internet. They store information about patients records and things like that in clouds, and you need broadband for those things to operate properly. So you're absolutely right.
So, although that funding came from the federal government, how those funds were allocated came from your local elector, right? And somebody who recognized, hey,
Absolutely.
this is a gap. So that's why, yes, we want you voting in every election, but the real key critical elections are those local elections that are going to make a difference in your day-to-day life. But let's go back a little bit, Shanita. What made you get into local government and politics?
Well, my family has a long-standing history in politics, whether it's influencing elections, holding office, or just being in the know, or being some of the people who are contacted by those who hold elected seats. One of the things that I'm very proud of is I remember going to Hunt Elementary Auditorium with my parents before we got these fancy new voting machines. And I remember being a little girl and pulling that red velvet curtain closed with the lever. My
Mhm.
mom and dad used to let me push the buttons and everything and pull the lever to open it back up. And I felt like, even though I was, under 18, I felt like I was making a difference. They always taught me the importance of voting. I still remember hearing, when different little things would go wrong or whatever. First thing my dad said was, "We need to vote them out."
Mhm.
And that may not be something you always say every time something goes wrong. My dad's a little extra like me, but that it matters when you
Yeah.
talk about politics, local politics in particular. That affects your everyday life. That's your potholes, dogs, trash, rezoning, things like that. And all of those things matter in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. So, in your position, what all do you handle? I mean, break it down? Are you handling those issues in terms of, like, trash pickup, potholes, the street lights, different things of that nature? You down in Georgia, so you're not like us in the Midwest or in Dallas where we get snow or ice. But are you handling stuff like that, like cleaning out the roads if something happens? Like, break down what exactly you do in your position.
Um, Basically, well, the official term for what I do, I'm a county commissioner, but our official title is Commissioner of Roads and Revenues, meaning, we allocate funding and we take care of the roadways as far as making sure that they're in good working condition, maintenance, upkeep, things like that. But we're also in charge of making ordinances and things to help our county um, operate more smoothly. We're in charge of rezoning. We, of course, we have a zoning board who hears things or whatever, and they make their recommendation, but we are the ones who make that final decision. Um, we allocate funding for various things. We don't do anything like law enforcement is not my job, any of the courts and things, but we are state mandated to fund those positions. We're also state mandated to give money to our school board. We have, the school tax or whatever. But basically, when you pay your taxes, we're the ones who decide how it should be spent.
Mm. And that's important because I saw something in the news where, and I think it might have been in Georgia, where the money went to this black owned town, right? And somehow, some way, a minority a minority group, I think, obviously I think they were Republican or whatever, they managed a way to find a loophole where they controlled the funds in this majority black ran town, but you had this one small subset that was controlling the money. I have to find that story, but it happened. It happened in I believe it was in Georgia. So it's
Are you
important how
talking
to,
about Mason, Tennessee?
I'm from the Midwest, so sometimes the South all
Okay.
runs together. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know about Mason, Tennessee. I'm actually involved with several groups and organizations that, trying to help the people out there as
Wow.
far as, getting back on track. The real story behind that was it actually just got to be where Mason, Tennessee, although it's majority Black, has Black leadership.
Mhm.
So all of the mishaps in government, all of the misappropriation, misspending, just general malfeasance, that actually came from politicians who were not Black, who held office prior to. But now Ford is supposed to be building some type of big plant or something there
Mhm.
where it's going to bring a lot of revenue into the area. So one of the things that I noticed,
And I'll cut you
people
off.
have been
You're right.
doing this.
You're right. It was Mason, Tennessee, and it was
Yeah.
about Fort
Okay.
Bragg. I was looking it up while you was talking, so that was my bad.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
No, you're good. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I know some people shy away from these subjects, but the truth is the truth. I cannot create the truth. I cannot, refute the truth, but I can report on the truth. And it has been my observation that in general, there's a general mistrust when it comes to Black leadership, where people question whether they are politically and financially mature enough to handle public funds. So there's always this second side eye that you'll give when you see that it's a Black elected versus someone else. I've literally seen people vote. I've seen people basically vote people into office who don't even have high school diplomas and things over Black people who have college degrees.
Mm.
And it's because of that general distrust or
Why is right?
whatever,
Why
and
is right?
wondering
Am I
if
right?
we're capable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something that really bothers me. I see it a lot. I see people put into positions who don't have the proper credentials and stuff, who are not Black. But then if someone Black comes along, they can have all the credentials in the world and they're still questioned. I want us to be able to move beyond that
Mhm.
and understand that people are people. We're going to have some people who are politically and financially irresponsible who are Black and who are white, regardless. We need to stop looking at just the color of somebody's skin and making a determination on whether they're capable of doing a job or not. Get to know the person.
Mhm. And I think that's important because what's most important is who's most qualified. Who's the most
Exactly.
who is the most qualified? I'm an alpha man, and I had one of my frat brothers who just became the mayor of a small town where I used to live at, in Little Elm, Texas. And he was running against other candidates, and they tried their best to take it into the dirt. They was following the Trump playbook, right? They tried their best to take it in the dirt, but he took the high road and he stuck to one main point. I am the most qualified. I'm the most qualified.
Right.
And it didn't matter that he was a Black man. It mattered to me that he was a Black man. That's
Hmm.
just how I get down. But he
Right.
was the most qualified. And that's what we need in terms of, we're going to really improve our communities. Let's put in the most qualified, not the person who can be manipulated by the backers, right? Because we see that happen a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, that we see that happen a lot. So real quick, what changes or what new policies do you plan to try to put into place if you're reelected to your position?
Well, if reelected, I plan on doing the same thing that I'm doing now, which is advocating for the people of Post 2 and making sure that their voices are heard at the table. I sit on a board, it's a 5-member board, but it is white, male, Republican dominated. So it's only me and one other commissioner who is Black, Democrat, and female.
Mm.
So I plan on still pushing the same agenda, which is the agenda of my community. When they come to me with something, that's what I have. I do not have a personal agenda. My agenda is the people's agenda.
So break it down. So it's
Um,
a 5-member board, right?
yes.
And two of y'all are
Hmm.
Black women. Two of y'all Black women, correct?
Yes.
And I'm assuming the others are white.
Male.
I
Yes.
mean, what's the demographics of Fort Valley, Georgia?
Okay, so my district lies in Fort Valley, but I sit on the county commission.
Okay.
So Peach County actually has two cities,
Okay.
Byron and Fort Valley. Fort Valley is the county seat. So the demographics of Peach County, the last time I checked, I think it was like 43% Black, 41% white, and then the rest, I don't know where everybody falls.
Gotcha.
But we have a very slight advantage at the county level.
Okay.
But the city that I live in, Fort Valley, according to the last census, I think it's like 79 point something percent Black.
Mm.
But we also know that it's really underreported.
Okay.
Everybody doesn't answer the census. So I do know that it's even more than that.
Yeah, yeah. And I personally believe, and I'll put on my tinfoil hat right now. I think, if you look at the numbers for the Black community in this country, every year the census come out, we had 12 or 13%. I think there's way more of
Yeah,
us than that. I think there's
it's way more.
way more Black
Yeah,
people than that in this country, which I get why some people don't want to be counted, but it matters though. It matters in how funding goes. So,
right.
we gotta make sure we're doing the right thing. So you're going to continue to represent your district. And what does your district need? What do you want to tackle? What agendas or issues need to be addressed?
Well, one, my district needs resources, period, all the way around resources. We have a portion of my district that's being bused to a school that's not even in this city,
Mm.
but these kids live in this city. I can't control that because, again, I'm not on the Board of Education, but we have things like that going on. We have a median income here in Peach County of, I think, about $54,000. No, I'm sorry. We have a median income in the northern city, which is Byron. And Byron is predominantly white. I don't know what the numbers are, but it's 54%. I'm sorry, $54,000 a year is like the median income. But then when you come to Fort Valley, the median income is like 24,000 or something.
See,
So if
yeah.
you look at the disparity is actually higher than the median income in Fort Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can imagine we have a host of needs.
Yes.
And the thing is that I don't think people understand is that you're only as strong as your weakest link. If you have a city that's suffering or you have people that's suffering, we're all suffering in some way. So you may think you're comfortable, but it could be even better than what you have it, when you bring everybody up to where they should be. I believe in equity. I believe in legislating with, from a standpoint of equity and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that's missing right now in my county. So I plan on continuing to lead with equity and compassion in mind.
So you talked about that. You just break down the numbers. We believe in talking about the data on this show. So if the median income is 54, approximately, right?
Mhm.
In
In
the,
the north, yes.
in the north, but then it's 24 in the south that's predominantly
Mhm.
Black. When you talk about the wealth gap, right? That's it right there. I mean,
Exactly.
there's no way you can close that gap to where we can be better off unless we address that. And it goes back to what you were talking about in terms of bringing in businesses that are going to bring good jobs, making sure the infrastructure is there so that they want to come in to give good
Mhm.
jobs to the people to the people in Fort Valley. So that's why it's important for you to do what you're doing. I'm so glad that we have you on the show. So you talked about resources, and
Mhm.
in order to be elected, keep it real, you got to have resources. So how can
Absolutely.
people donate, contribute to your cause, right? Because you can receive contributions from outside of Georgia, correct? How can
Yes,
people
I
give you the
can.
resources that you
I
need
can.
to make sure that you are making a difference with the community that you represent? How can they give you resources?
Okay. First of all, I appreciate you bringing that up. I wasn't going to bring that up, so I appreciate that, brother. But I am in a. I'd like to say this first. My race ends in the Democratic primary. My opponent is a Democrat according to the qualifying paperwork. But I am running against someone who, although they've qualified as a Democrat in this majority Democratic district, that person has not shown themselves to be a Democrat. That person has openly publicly and vigorously campaigned for the white male Republican who sits in our at-large seat over a Black woman who's a Democrat. So we actually had the opportunity to have our board reflect more closely to the demographics of our community. But my opponent actually chose to not assist us in that effort.
Wow.
So, in my opinion, my opponent has already shown herself to be not for our community, not for our causes. She actually supported someone who went on CNN's website in the comment section and talked about, if I can paraphrase, people who are against Trump need gallows and nooses raised or something. I can't even remember the exact words,
Really?
but yeah, it
Wow.
was a really big thing around here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's who she campaigned for. So I've noticed some patterns and I've seen some things, and I see where some of the people who are not a part of the demographic that should be in this primary are backing her.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want the people who are actual Democrats, who actually believe in our community, to, I want them to back me because they're the ones I back.
Mm-hmm.
I want my community to back me because I back my community.
Right.
I think that, I'll be honest, some friends and I, we joke around that my opponent is trying to catfish Post too. You know, she waited a few months or whatever um, before qualified, and she started passing out food and passing out toys and doing that little stuff
Yeah.
like she's been engaged in the community all along when that's not true. But they went and found someone to basically silence the Democratic voice, the Black voice in Post 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did. They went to find someone who would do that. And I'm hoping that my people are not fooled by that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that they look even further back and really remember who my opponent is before she wanted your vote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that they do that. I'm hoping that they remember that this is the person who, if she really cared about our community, why was she not trying to help us elect someone who would take care of our community? You know,
I get it.
so I do need money or whatever for my campaign to amplify that message. Um,
How can they
so I
donate?
do appreciate you. I appreciate you bringing that up.
How can they
But if you
donate?
go to, excuse me,
Now, how can they donate? You got to tell them how to do it.
okay, I'm about to tell you. So if you go to Act Blue, which is a Democratic donor website,
Mm-hmm.
go to Act Blue and look up my name, Shanita Wilkerson Bryant. Shanita is spelled like Anita with an SH in the front of it. Wilkerson, Wilkerson, Bryant, Bryant, like Kobe, RIP Kobe.
All right.
So just look up my name on ActBlue and you can donate that way. Or if you're a Cash App person, you can donate through Cash App. I have a campaign account set up, and the Cash App for that is the $ Shanita, Shanita, the number 4, Post, which is Post, and the number 2.
Okay.
$Shanita for Post 2.
Okay. Okay. And I want people to recognize a couple things. First of all, donate to this sister. She is dedicated to the cause. I have no doubt about her authenticity. I wouldn't have her on the show if I did. And we need to make sure that we're backing women like her, Black women like her, because they are making a difference. And the changes that she's making on this local level, the lessons she's learning, the battle she's fighting now will carry on to when she's going on to bigger things. She's representing more people in the state of Georgia, and how it just continues to grow and grow and grow. We don't need people who just want to be in position just to hold a position. We want people that are going to make a difference. And I love what you said in terms about what your opponent is doing, because not only do we need to vote, but we need to be more politically savvy. We need to
Yeah.
understand. We need to
Yeah.
understand when somebody is playing us right, and when
Hmm.
somebody is truly down for the community. And we also need to recognize that it's a game that's been played for years. They've in multiple local elections. I know in St. Louis, there's a Black woman who was mayor in St. Louis.
Hmm.
She actually ran before and lost
Right.
lost to a white woman, right? You got St. Louis City, which is
Hmm.
predominantly Black, but you had Black men, and I'm calling brothers out, who clearly were funded by somebody else just to divide the vote, just to,
Exactly.
just to divide the vote. So we need to be more savvy with how we use our vote, and then we need to hold people accountable. This is a
That's
citizen
right.
who is, I know she holds others accountable, so I know she's willing to be held accountable. So be more politically savvy and make sure you are helping sisters like Shanita. You can start right now. You can start right now. We'll post her Cash App in the link of the show. You go to actblue.com. You can donate that way. And I want my people to go ahead and do what they can to send some resources this way, because we only we all we got. We all we got. So
Absolutely.
if I'm making it in Dallas, Texas, but my folks in Peach County, Georgia are suffering, we ain't where we need to be as a community. And I mean
Hmm.
that. So Shanita, I appreciate you. You got any last things to say before we end the show?
So if you are in post two, which is Fort Valley, Georgia, the city, and also the unincorporated area of Fort Valley, Georgia, I am asking that when you go to the polls on May 24th or during early voting, that you cast your ballot for Shanita Wilkerson Bryant to be reelected to the post two commissioner seat. So let's do it again, Peach County.
Okay. All right. And I'll definitely put my money where my mouth is. I'm trying to
Thank
get
you.
all my people to do the same. And I just appreciate you coming on the show. And I'm looking forward to having you back on the show to where we can celebrate your victory and we can talk about, hey,
Absolutely.
how we're going to make a difference going forward. So, Shanita, I
I
appreciate
appreciate you
you.
asking me to be on the show. I was not expecting that, so I really appreciate that.
That's what we do. That's what we do. So y'all make sure y'all support her. We'll post the link in the comments. Make sure y'all go to our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Man Listen Show. Make sure y'all follow us, share this show, because this is important. Because the games that are played in Peach County, Georgia, they played in St. Louis County, they played in Dallas County, they played in Shawnee County, where I'm from. The game
Mhm.
don't change. It just gets more
Playbook
fierce.
is, yeah, same playbook all over.
Just like they said in The Wire, one of my favorite shows, the game don't change, it just gets more fierce, and we need to be ready to go to battle for those who are going to battle for us. So we'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.